There's no doubt that life, especially in big cities, is getting busier. Not many of us are sticking around in one place for long, and with so much to pack into our days, going home to cook lunch and dinner is not at the top of everybody's list. Unsurprisingly, because of this, the amount of food and drink that we buy while we're out and about has increased massively. The food-to-go sector is predicted to be worth $23.5 billion by 2022, and it's mostly millennials that are heading up this trend, so I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. The mass availability of on-the-go food means that we can do so much more with our days without having to go home for dinner, but it can have its downsides. There aren't a lot of places with the on-street facilities to collect recycling when we're out and about, so when you buy things for lunch, it can mean that a lot of it ends up going into landfill and incinerated rather than going to the recycling. Less than half of councils have on-street recycling bins, which means unless you're carrying your recycling home to put it in the bin there, then it's probably just going in the general waste, which for most councils mean that it gets burned. Generally, people don't spend a whole lot of their time looking at bins, so it can be confusing to know what you're meant to put in there. And we only hold rubbish for an average of 12 steps before we drop it on the ground, so it might not get to a recycling bin in the first place anyway. So even if we put recycling bins on the street, how do we make sure that they're really easy for people to use and that recycling collected is of good enough quality to be turned into something new? This is the focus of a brand new project that Hubbub have just launched in Leeds, called Leeds by Example, where we're experimenting with ways to get people to recycle on the go. This is from there. Ta-da! I'm here with Jess from Hubbub, who is leading the Leeds by Example project. If you can hear the weird panpipes in the background, there's a dude playing them behind us, and there's nothing we can do.
Very relaxing.
Yeah, relax, enjoy the panpipes. So why is it so difficult to try and get people to recycle on the move?
Often there's not the bins or the actual infrastructure to collect anything. People are often confused because there's not consistency from place to place depending on where you live. Also, food and drink is a real problem, so that actually contaminates whole batches of recycling when it's left over, and it can mean that really valuable items actually don't get recycled and go to landfill or incinerated.
And what are you experimenting with in Leeds to try and make it easier for people to recycle on the move?
Yeah, so first off, Leeds didn't have any on-the-go recycling before, so we've got a new network of recycling bins, bright yellow bins on the street. We're working with local retailers, so there's a network you can recycle in-store as well as other sort of universities, shopping centres, etc. We're testing whether incentives or rewards work, so we've got a few recycle reward machines and an amazing recycler bike that's giving away freebies in exchange for you giving in your recycling, so things like sweets and fruit, etc. We are also testing consistent communication, so we've got a big advertising campaign, the yellow pin that you've probably seen all around Leeds. It's just helping tell people where they can recycle.
So what are we looking at exactly?
This is our wonderful bubble bin.
A monster.
A monster with great eyes.
Yeah, lovely eyes.
So yeah, try it out. You just need to deposit the bottle. You'll find out.
I love it. We'll keep you updated with how the project goes and whether interventions like this have any effect on how much on-the-go packaging gets recycled. In the meantime, there are loads of things that you can do to make sure that stuff that you buy when you're out and about actually gets recycled. First up is don't put any food and drink in the recycling bin. Basically, it contaminates the waste, so even if you have recycled it, it might end up being rejected from a recycling centre and incinerated anyway. The best thing to do if you can't finish what you've bought, other than saving it for later, is to put it in a normal bin and then put your recycling in the other bin. When you're out and about, things like bottles and cans are so easy to recycle. Other things like crisp packets and sandwich wrappers can be a little bit harder, and not every council recycles them. So what you should do is go and check on your council's website to see what they will and won't recycle. And if you can't find a recycling bin anywhere, then the best thing to do is to hold on to it until you get home and you can recycle it properly. Are you finding yourself buying more and more food and drink while you're out and about? And if you do buy it, what do you do with it once you've used it? Let me know in the comments. I would love to know all about it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to be the first to see the Hubbub videos. Bye!